Hello and welcome to UWS News. I'm Andrew Gamba.
And I'm Stefan Arnott.
We start off with something that's affecting us all right now, the weather. Our reporter Chris Flockhart has been investigating the impact this cold spell is having on commuters right here and there.
Diverse weather in winter affects everyone, most notably commuters, as was the case with this motorist.
In the bike I've been knocked over 3 times with cars.
Really?
Or somebody ran into the back of me, somebody hit me on the side. And I come over, once I come up on the road, it was ice and a slid. I've been hit 3 times.
Car mechanic Fraser suggests advice to drivers of all types.
Make sure all your fluids are topped up, all at safe levels, check your tyres, make sure you get good tread, pressures are okay, just make sure everything's safe in your car before you leave off. Got a blanket, stuff like that in case you do break down, and got your mobile phones fully charged.
Fraser suggests other ways in which motorists can look after their cars.
Yeah, I mean it is advisable to get winter tyres, but it's a lot of money to do winter tyres, so it's entirely up to yourself. You've got the money there to, you're doing a lot of travelling and stuff.
I'm Chris Flockhart reporting for UWS News.
Thank you, Chris. Now, Kirsty Morrison takes a look at the influence that social media is having on millennials.
Social media is a revolutionary tool that has shaped the way society operates today. Websites such as Facebook, Instagram and Twitter have changed the way the world communicates. According to Jennifer Jones, Research Associate at the University of the West of Scotland, social media encourages millennials to project their best version of themselves.
You know, you're picking the best version of yourself, and there's more people doing it, but I don't think it's necessarily a gendered thing. I think it's to do with the fact that we are being exposed to it and the fact that it's an everyday thing. If it's on our mobile phones, it's in smartphones, we're carrying it around with us. So I guess the pressure is possibly something that maybe breed anxiety, but it's not the only thing.
Being addicted to using these sites can lead to insecurity. In terms of particular social networking sites, like Instagram, it all depends on whom you choose to follow.
Social network is dependent on what you choose to follow, right? So Instagram is really visual. So if you are following lots of accounts that are maybe fitness inspired or celebrity type images, then when you log in, you're going to get a lot of that content.
Stuart Telfer is a lecturer in Masters of Science Health Studies at University of the West of Scotland. He says that idolising people on social media and becoming preoccupied with their lives has become the norm.
So you can follow, like, you know, your hero or your heroine, and what you might call them, on certain platforms, and you get an insight into their life, and therefore presumably get carried away, and it becomes habitual, but not just habitual, it becomes normalised.
It remains to be seen how much of a negative influence social media will have on millennials in the future. Kirsty Morrison, UWS News.
And now to sport. Ayr United fans are helping pay their players' wages. Stefan took a closer look at what's really happening at the Championship club.
Ayr United are playing Championship football for the first time in 4 years. In order to ensure they stay in the division, loyal fans are clubbing together. The AU 500 Fund has been set up to raise funds for the club, and they are looking to raise £1,000 every month. We spoke to commercial manager Graham Miller to find out more about the project.
Sure, yeah, the 500 Fund is something that's been talked about here for a long time. It's a group of supporters that effectively are looking to add an extra revenue stream into the club that goes directly and only to players' wages. I mean, in saying that, you could probably, even for the second half of the season, you could probably say you could look at paying a player's wages for the second part of the season. So it actually could have a big difference when you look at that.
The reality for Ayr United is that staying in the Championship could be worth at least £70,000 to the club. Figures we obtained from last season show that the team finishing top of League One last season stood to receive £105,000. The team finishing 8th in the Championship outside relegation places was to receive £168,000. That's the difference between playing in League One and the Championship. We spoke to one United fan who was positive about the success of the AU 500 Fund.
I think the AU 500 Fund is absolutely excellent. In terms of in terms of actually staying in the Championship from the beginning of the season, I really didn't, to be perfectly honest. As much as I'd love Ayr United to stay up, at the beginning of the season my hopes weren't great. For Ayr United to have players such as Gary Harkins and Conrad Ballatoni, who are two seasoned professionals who have played in the Premier League, I just never thought that we would be able to compete with the likes of Hibernian and Dundee United.
Commercial manager Graham Miller had thoughts about the future implications of the project for the club.
It's the more it grows, the more it's going to help the club, especially as we look to go full time. It's something that could be enormous.
Celtic are taking on Spanish giants Barcelona in the Champions League tonight. The Hoops need a win to have any hope of progressing to the last 16. Our reporter Kaelan Geeky spoke to Spanish football expert Guillem Balaguer.
Celtic face Barcelona in Glasgow tonight, looking to avenge September's 7-0 drubbing at the Camp Nou. We spoke to Spanish football expert Guillem Balaguer ahead of the clash. Guillem explains how Celtic should approach tonight's game.
As a top team can be, of course they all are strong teams, but they all have their weaknesses. And in the case of Barcelona, I would say set pieces could be one, certainly, but most importantly is that point where they build from the back. If they lose possession, that's when you can actually hear Barcelona, because they will continue playing.
And what do Barcelona make of Celtic's famed atmosphere?
Because it actually is spectacular, because it actually is the kind of thing that players love being part of. It's the kind of thing that quite clearly you would have Barcelona players relishing.
Is there any news on Messi's recent illness? Will he play tonight?
The doctor decided that it was best not to include him in the call-up. Now, Luis Enrique said later on that actually he wanted to play, but it's one of those where it didn't make much sense. So he will be fine. He's more than fine. He's been training since.
This is Kaelan Geeky for UWS News.
Thank you, Kaelan. That's all from us here at UWS News. Goodbye.
Goodbye.